On the news, President Muhammadu Buhari participates in virtual China-Africa summit. U.S. freezes assets of 6 Nigerians over romance scams. And 8 arrested over one of South Africa's most notorious corruption scandal. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Annetta Felix. The crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress has taken a dramatic twist in the last 24 hours, with 2 men laying claim to the position of acting national chairman of the party. Following the verdict of the appeal court, upholding the ruling of a federal high court suspending Adams Oshiomhole as chairman of the party, the APC's National Working Committee announced the former governor of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi, as acting national chairman. The NWC later announced that since Ajimobi was not available, the party's national vice chairman, South-South, Hilad Etta, would act in his stead. But on Wednesday, Deputy National Secretary of the party, Victor Gaidom, pronounced himself acting national chairman and nullified the screening exercise for the party's governorship polls in Edo State.
We therefore ask all aspirants in the governorship primaries to report for fresh screening between today and tomorrow. I call on all aspirants to remain in the All Progressive Congress as we guarantee fairness and justice to all concerned. The schedule and time for each aspirant shall be communicated. In addition to the above, the Deputy Organizing Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Honorable Mohammed Sani Abraham, shall immediately resume office as the Acting National Organizing Secretary in compliance with the judgment of the Federal High Court in suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/733/2018, which removed the former National Organizing Secretary, Mr. Emmanuel Ebijiro, since 24th of September 2018. This is to ensure strict compliance with the rule of law. Finally, I ask for cooperation of the party leaders at all levels in the onerous task of repositioning the leadership of the party so as to guarantee fairness and justice to all concerned. As your acting national chairman and presiding officer in the National Working Committee, we therefore cancel the decision of the screening and appeal committee of the former chairman of the party on the Edo primaries. Having removed the temporary reprieve yesterday by the Court of Appeal, and considering the fact that we cannot allow for a vacuum, I most humbly inform you that I have assumed office as the national chairman of our great party in compliance with the order of the court.
But speaking with journalists at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja, Etta clarified that Gaidom does not have the power to nullify the party's screening exercise, insisting that Obaseki remains disqualified from contesting in the APC governorship primaries scheduled for June 22, 2020. Etta also clarified that Victor Gaidom voluntarily resigned his membership from the NWC to contest as deputy governorship candidate in Rivers State. It's understood that Mr. Oshiomhole himself has approached the Supreme Court to challenge the ruling of the appeal court. The Federal High Court in Abuja has extended the interim order barring Governor Godwin Obaseki from arresting the suspended national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, over his alleged indictment by a panel of inquiry. On June 1st, the court had restrained Governor Obaseki and the other respondents from taking steps to arrest Oshiomhole over the report of the Justice Oyomire-led panel that indicted him for corruption and diversion of public funds. But on Wednesday, Justice Ahmed Mohamed ordered all the parties involved in the matter to stay action till June 29th. On June 29th, the court will hear a motion challenging its jurisdiction to entertain an application Oshiomhole filed for the protection of his fundamental human rights. Other respondents in the matter are Edo State Government, the Attorney General and Commissioner of Edo, Justice of Edo State, Chairman of the Panel of Inquiry, Justice J. Oyomire, the Inspector General of Police and Department of State Services. The Supreme Court has fixed June 23rd to hear the appeal filed by the former Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Timi Elaibe, challenging the election of Senator Doye Diri as the governor of Bayelsa. The 5-man panel, presided over by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Mohammed, asked the applicant to regularize processes, having withdrawn 2 other applications pending before the court. At the resumed hearing, counsels to the PDP and Governor Diri, Emmanuel Onoidem and Chris Uche respectively said they were not opposed to the application by the appellant to regularize his processes.
It's a judicial expedition commenced by Chief Indutumi Alaibe, who was one of the contestants for the primary election for the governorship candidate of Bayelsa State election. He lost in the primaries, but he took the matter to court, asking the Federal High Court to torpedo the entire process. That is to say, to nullify the primary election that eventually threw up the incumbent governor as the governor of Bayelsa State. At the Federal High Court esteemed that case slightly and dismissed it. He was not satisfied. He went to the Court of Appeal, Owerri, and the Court of Appeal concurrently dismissed his appeal. He's yet dissatisfied, and he has come to the Supreme Court as a court of final resort to ventilate his further grievance.
Issues are very, very narrow because what he has brought here are issues that don't really concern the primary election. Issues that concern activities that happen before the primary election. But within the next 7 days, we'll all file our respective briefs of argument, and then if they have any reply on points of law, call reply brief to file. We'll do that in 3 days, and then after we'll come for the hearing of the appeal, which is the adoption of our written briefs, and then after the Supreme Court will deliver its judgment.
The Supreme Court has given us date to file brief. We will comply with the date of the Supreme Court. We will respond. We are sued. We went to the Federal High Court. The Federal High Court agreed with us, and we won. They went to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal agreed with us, and our clients won. We have come to the Supreme Court. We won't predict the Supreme Court, but there are 2 concurrent judgments of the trial court, Federal High Court, and the Court of Appeal. So we won't predict the Supreme Court.
And now to security matters. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a joint operation involving the military and police force to tackle banditry in the northwest region. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu made this known in a statement on Tuesday. This development comes after some of the youth in Katsina State protested the killings of residents by bandits. The youth, under the aegis of coalition of northern groups, lamented the frequent attacks by bandits, after which they stormed the government house and asked the governor to step down. Buhari said the military will take appropriate steps to block gaps being exploited to unleash mayhem on innocent citizens. The Abuja Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says its collaboration with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in some investigations has yielded 3 arrests in cybercrime offences. Head of the Zonal Office, Aminu Aliyu, stated this during a press briefing on the activities and achievements of the office for the past 1 year. Oyin Adekunle tells us more in this report.
The Abuja Zonal Office began operations about 1 year and 7 months ago, following the relocation of the headquarters to Jabi area of the Federal Capital Territory. The office was created to attend to the petitions of citizens in Abuja and other neighboring states with a view to stamp out corruption, which remains the mantra of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. At this press briefing, the zonal head, Aminu Aliyu, is providing the scorecard of the agency from June 2019 to June 2020. Aliyu outlines some of the successes of the commission so far.
In terms of recoveries, we have a total of 1,541,801,872 naira only. And it is broken down as follows. For individuals, we have recovered 315,825,431 naira only. For corporate organizations, we have recovered 285,430,000 naira, 430,343 naira only, while we have recovered 914 million 546,098 naira only for the federal government. Also, as part of our recoveries in foreign currency, is $10,386 only, and 730,500 pounds sterling only.
The EFCC also receives some commendations. The zonal office is applauded for the anti-graft war, but encouraged to build more confidence in Nigerians by carrying citizens along in its activities and other developments.
If the EFCC response is timely, they are getting themselves together, the time frame for prosecution should not be more than what the public is expecting. I think the public will restore confidence in the anti-graft war, but overall, the commissioner has done well.
For the past 1 year that I've known them in this area, they are doing a very good job. For what they have been doing, at least I've been seeing their work, the way they try to put things in order, in right place to be in order. And I appreciate them, most especially their boss in charge ahead of them. He has been doing a very good job, at least to try to bring up the criminal active together, put them where they're supposed to belong. They have been doing all their possible best as human beings, because nobody is perfect. They are trying their best to make sure that they put things in order. I so much appreciate them.
The EFCC chief further assured Nigerians of its open door policy and readiness to attend to any complaints tendered before it. Adekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
United States authorities have frozen the assets of 6 Nigerian nationals for cyber fraud amounting to about $6 million. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the suspects are Richard Uzu, Michael Oloriyomi, Alex Ogunshaki, Felix Opo, and Nnamdi Benson and Abiola Kayode. In a statement on its website, the U.S. Department of State said these 6 suspects manipulated their victims to gain access to their sensitive information and financial resources. The statement added that the suspects targeted women, especially those who just lost a spouse, deceiving them with affection through calls and constant chats until they gained their trust and swindled their unsuspecting victims. Chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC in South Africa, Taye Olusola Abe, has passed away at the age of 65. In a condolence message signed by Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, President Muhammadu Buhari sympathized with the family, friends and colleagues of the deceased, urging them to take heart. He also prayed that God will comfort them at this time of sorrow. Meanwhile, personal assistant to Kogi State Governor Abdul Latif Suleiman has died. Suleiman died at the age of 41 at a private hospital in Abuja on Wednesday morning after a brief illness. Chief Press Secretary to Governor Bello Onugu Mohammed clarified that Suleiman died of sepsis shock and cardiac arrest. You're still watching news now on TV360. Nigeria still to come. Nigeria records its highest number of COVID-19 deaths for a single day.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the go-to app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Give him his shoes somewhere here. His phone and everything.
Don't do like that again.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going?
Oh, you never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body, see?
You never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Welcome, man. What's this man still doing here?
They say I should shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I should do it. And I say I don't get combo.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back, but before we continue, here's a recap of some of the stories we've been bringing you this hour. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki remains disqualified from contesting in the Edo governorship primary election. Victor Gaidom had nullified the screening exercise for the party's primaries, but the APC National Working Committee clarified that Gaidom does not have the power to nullify the APC screening exercise. The Federal High Court in Abuja has extended the order stopping Obaseki from arresting Oshomole over alleged corruption. In his ruling on Wednesday, Justice Ahmed Mohammed ordered all the parties involved in the matter to stay action till June 29th. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has given a scorecard of the agency from June 2019 to June 2020. EFCC boss Aminu Aliyu says they have made 304 arrests, charged 67 cases to court and secured 43 convictions. We also told you that following protests against banditry in Katsina State and bandit attacks in Borno, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved joint military and police operation in the northwest. President Muhammadu Buhari is currently participating at the extraordinary China-Africa Summit on solidarity against COVID-19. The meeting is chaired by Chinese President Xi Jinping and is holding via video conference. The summit is jointly proposed by China, South Africa, the rotating chair of the African Union, and Senegal, the co-chair of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation.
Our countries have been hit hard by tragedy of the coronavirus pandemic. In a bid to contain the spread of the disease, we have had to mobilize energy and resources to equip healthcare providers for adequate response to the challenges of the virus. Our countries are also exploring avenues availed by global partnership to bring an end to the pandemic. At this point, I wish to acknowledge the support of the Chinese government under the leadership of His Excellency President Xi Jinping for the considerable assistance extended to Africa and in particular to Nigeria. This has tremendously strengthened our effort in combating civic COVID-19 during these difficult times. President Xi's strong support has also further demonstrated the spirit of solidarity and enhanced the bond of partnership that already exists among FOCAC member states. Excellencies, from the outset of the pandemic, we in Nigeria instituted strong surveillance and infection prevention as well as control measures and made provisions to strengthen our testing capacities.
Nigeria has recorded its highest number of deaths from COVID-19 in a single day, with 31 patients said to have died from the virus on Tuesday. This comes as the Nigeria Center for Disease Control announced 490 new infections across 15 states and the Federal Capital Territory, bringing the total to 17,148 cases, with 5,623 patients discharged and 455 dead. Of the new cases, Lagos has 142 cases, FCT 60, Bayelsa 54, and Rivers 39, among others. A breakdown by regions indicates that Lagos in the southwest now has 7,461 cases, followed by FCT in the north central with 1,324 cases, Kano in the northwest with 1,500 and 1,158 cases. In the southeast, Abia has the highest number of cases, with infections rising to 173. Public transportation in Nigeria's capital city has taken a new form following directives of the Lagos state government aimed at ensuring social distance in the commercial vehicles. Here's how both transport operators and commuters are coping with the latest trend.
As life gradually returns to normal, transport operators in the Abuja metropolis are leaving nothing to chance. Pre-COVID-19, the mode of operation for public transportation was not like this, but everything is fast changing, from the collection of bus fares to admission of passengers and seating arrangement. All is now done bearing safety measures in mind. Workers in bus parks also leave no room for carelessness. And washing facilities have been stationed at a corner, and before boarding, passengers must wash their hands, sanitize them before getting into the vehicle. Each driver is also mandated to provide hand sanitizers for passengers on every trip.
Now, before we are picking 4 passengers at the back, 1 at the front, making 5 passengers. Now, it's only 3 passengers we carry, 2 at the back, 1 at the front. So to make physical distance, to make a passenger, they do not contact themselves, so that they'll give themselves a distance inside the car.
Though they actually increased the price, but to me, I think it's fine. It's fine because our safety first, before money.
Adjusting to this completely new lifestyle has not been very easy for the drivers. Some of them prior to COVID-19 made significant profit from their business. But now, what they make is only enough for their daily sustenance.
The lockdown is the right decision for the government like we Nigeria, so that we can able to live long life. I think is good, but also they should look at us that work from hand to mouth, that we can able to survive it also. We appreciate the government for what it's doing over the sickness, violence that we are having, that we pray that God will help us to kill it quickly, so that we can able to go back to our normal job, our normal work.
Since the country's financial sector has been fully reopened, level of compliance with COVID-19 safety measures will determine how fast Nigeria can win this battle. Adeshawo Dushoga, TV360, Abuja.
Famous Nigerian-based American on-air personality Dan Foster is dead. The news of his death was announced by his colleagues on Twitter, and his wife confirmed on Wednesday that he died of COVID-19. Dan Foster worked with numerous radio stations in America before moving to Nigeria in the year 2000. Since his relocation, he's worked with at least 4 Nigerian radio stations and has won several awards, including the Nigeria Media Merit Awards for Best Radio Personality, which he won 3 times in a row between 2003 and 2005. We'll take a break here and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. Let's now join Oyin Adekunle for the latest in business.
Thank you, Aneta, and welcome to Business News. The National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that Nigeria's inflation rate rose to 12.40% year-on-year in May 2020. That's 0.06 points higher than 12.34% recorded in April 2020. According to the website, the agency revealed that the latest figure indicates the highest in over 2 years. Food inflation rose by 15.04% 15.04% year-on-year compared to 15.03% recorded in the previous month, a rise which was caused by increases recorded in the process of bread and cereals, potatoes, yam and other tubers. We'll take a pause here and return with stock market review. Don't go away. Profit-taking is easing gradually on the NSE. Investors showed interest in the consumer goods sector today, and that pushed the market to its first major boost of the week with a 99.5 Naira increase. Nestle led the best performers today, and it's followed by Flour Mill as well as Cadbury. And, of course, Access Bank also completed the list of 4 with an increase of 10 kobo in the value of its share price. Seplat couldn't keep its head above water as investors gone for fundamentally sound stock amid gloomy global economic output. And of course, we see Guarantee Trust Bank, Dangote Sugar and Fitsit also recording losses today. Seplat posted the most losses, as I have already said. Similarly, blue chips like Dangote also fell, while Fitsin from the healthcare sector also he raised its previous gains. And in summary, the value of trade today summed up to 2.7 billion naira. But moving on now to foreign markets, we see that FTSE extended gains as market comeback continues. Dow Jones is also higher, 0.08%, while Nikkei closed in the reds today. And that's it on business. It's back to you now, Aneta.
Thank you, Oyin. South African authorities have apprehended 8 people suspected of illegally siphoning 2.3 billion rand, equivalent to $133.87 million from small lender VBS Mutual Bank. Much of that money belonged to poor rural families saving to buy homes. The bank had collapsed in 2018 because of a corruption scandal alleged to have involved senior politicians, bankers and government officials. Head of South Africa's Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation said 4 of the suspects were already in custody. 3 were due to turn themselves in on Thursday, and the 8th suspect had agreed to appear in court after clearing COVID-19 quarantine. And in sports, Newcastle United has received a new €350 million takeover bid from the CEO of US television company Clear TV, Henry Morris. The figure is €50 million more than the price agreed with Newcastle's owner by a consortium involving Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and supported by Reuben Brothers and Amada Sevilli. Saudi's proposed takeover is currently awaiting the outcome of the Premier League owners and directors test. His bid is said to be built around the prospect of being charged off the club for the 2020 to 2021 season, but it remains to be seen how this will affect the bid by the Saudi-backed Public Investment Fund. And that's it from here on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Aneta Felix. Thank you for watching.